The Hawthorns controlled everything. Money, influence, information. Everyone they touched left fingerprints, except one man. The man their daughter married. This is part 1. Chapter 1. The man no one wanted at the altar. No one expected the groom to arrive alone. That was the first problem. The wedding hall was already full when he stepped inside, gold-trimmed pillars, crystal chandeliers, soft classical music floating through the air. Every guest wore designer suits and gowns that cost more than most people's yearly salaries. Laughter echoed easily here. Confidence lived in the room. Then the groom walked in. No convoy. No bodyguards. No tailored suit. Just a simple dark jacket, slightly worn at the cuffs, and polished shoes that had clearly been used many times before. He stood still for a moment, scanning the room as if making sure he was in the right place. Whispers started immediately. That's him? That can't be the groom. Is he staff? Someone laughed. The bride's family sat in the front rows, the Hawthorne family. Old money. Construction, shipping, real estate. Their name alone opened doors. And right now their faces were tight with disbelief. Mrs. Hawthorne leaned toward her husband. This is the man she insisted on? Mr. Hawthorne didn't answer. He was too busy staring, jaw clenched, eyes cold. The groom walked down the aisle slowly, ignoring the looks. Or pretending to. Every step felt heavier than the last, but he didn't stop. At the side of the hall, a group of young men, business associates of the Hawthorns, watched with open amusement. So this is the poor boy, one of them said. I thought she was joking. Must be some kind of charity case. Love really makes people blind. Laughter again. The groom heard all of it. He kept walking. At the altar, the bride stood waiting. Her dress was flawless. Her face was calm, but her hands were clenched tightly together. When she saw him, relief flashed across her eyes. He was here. That was all that mattered to her. But to everyone else, he was a stain on a perfect event. The officiant cleared his throat, uncomfortable. Before the ceremony could begin, Mr. Hawthorne stood up. The music stopped. Every head turned. I'd like to say something before we continue, he announced, voice smooth but sharp. The groom looked at him. So would I, Mr. Hawthorne continued, eyes fixed on the man at the altar. I'd like to know, right now, what exactly you are bringing into this family. A hush fell over the room. No company? No assets? No background worth mentioning? He smiled thinly. Because love doesn't pay debts. And pride doesn't build legacies. The bride turned shocked. Dad. Mr. Hawthorne raised a hand. Sit down. All eyes returned to the groom. This was the moment they expected him to break. To apologize. To step back. But he didn't. He met Mr. Hawthorne's gaze calmly and said quietly,
I didn't come here to impress you. I came here to marry your daughter.
A murmur rippled through the hall. Silence followed. And for the first time that day, the laughter stopped. Chapter 2. The vows they tried to stop. The silence after the groom's words felt heavier than any insult. I didn't come here to impress you. Some guests shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Others leaned forward, eager. This was no longer just a wedding. It was becoming entertainment. Mr. Hawthorne studied the groom like a problem that offended him by existing. He said,
You speak boldly. For a man with nothing.
The groom didn't reply. The bride stepped forward. I choose him, she said clearly. Her voice cut through the tension like glass. Heads turned again, this time toward her. Mrs. Hawthorne stood abruptly. Don't embarrass us further. I'm not embarrassing anyone, the bride said. I'm getting married. To him, her mother snapped. The groom finally spoke again. If this wedding ends now, I will leave. Quietly. No scandal. Mr. Hawthorne laughed once. Sure. You think we're worried about scandal? He said. We're worried about contamination. The bride's eyes burned. Then this is on you. Not me. She turned to the officiant. Please continue. The officiant hesitated. Looked toward the Hawthorns. Looked at the groom. Looked at the guests who were now recording discreetly. Then he nodded. Very well. The ceremony resumed, but the warmth was gone. Every vow felt heavier than it should have. Every word echoed too loudly. When the groom spoke, his voice was steady. I promise loyalty, protection, and honesty even when it costs me. Some guests scoffed quietly. When the bride spoke, her voice trembled, but she didn't stop. I promise to stand with you, even when the room turns against you. That line landed harder than she realized. because the room already had. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, applause followed, but it was scattered. Polite. Forced. The groom leaned in and kissed her forehead instead of her lips. That small gesture annoyed Mr. Hawthorne more than anything else that day. At the reception, the separation was immediate. The Hawthorne family sat at their own table. Their guests followed. The groom stood alone for several minutes, holding a glass of water, watching people decide not to approach him. Business partners avoided eye contact. Friends of the family whispered openly. One man leaned close to another. "This marriage won't last 6 months." Another replied, "It won't need to. They'll break him first." The bride returned to his side. "They're waiting for you to react," she whispered. "I know," he said calmly. "And you won't." He looked around the room once more. "No," he said, "because today isn't about them." She searched his face. "Then what is it about?" He met her eyes. "Survival." Across the room, Mr. Hawthorne watched them closely. He didn't see fear. He didn't see desperation. And that unsettled him. So he made a decision of his own. If the groom wouldn't leave on his own, they would make him. And this time the family would not fail. Chapter 3: The Man with No Footprint. The first thing the Hawthornes noticed was how difficult the groom was to investigate. That alone made him suspicious. By Monday morning, Mr. Hawthorne had already instructed his private office to pull everything on his new son-in-law. Education, employment, financial history, social ties, debt, lawsuits, anything. By Tuesday evening, the report landed on his desk. Thin. Too thin. No criminal record. No outstanding debt. No visible assets. No meaningful employment history beyond short-term consulting roles that left no trail. "He's a ghost," the investigator said carefully. Mr. Hawthorne didn't like that word. "Everyone leaves footprints," he replied. "Find them." They tried again. Banks returned nothing useful. Old employers gave vague answers. References spoke politely, then ended calls quickly. The groom existed, but only on the surface. That disturbed Mr. Hawthorne far more than a criminal past would have. Meanwhile, inside the Hawthorne estate, the groom moved quietly. He didn't explore. Didn't touch anything unnecessarily. Didn't ask questions. He woke early. Left no mess. Spoke respectfully to staff without familiarity. He watched. The bride noticed it first. "You're too calm," she said one evening as they sat in their assigned wing of the house. "Calm keeps people careless," he replied. She studied him. "You knew this would happen, didn't you?" He didn't answer immediately. "I knew they wouldn't accept me," he said finally. "I didn't know how quickly they'd try to erase me." That word again. Erase. The bride swallowed. "My father doesn't erase people. He breaks them." The groom nodded. Same result. Different method. That night the pressure began. His phone stopped receiving calls. An interview he had scheduled was suddenly cancelled. A consulting offer disappeared without explanation. The Hawthornes weren't subtle. They didn't need to be. The groom understood the message perfectly. "You are nothing here." At dinner the next evening, Mr. Hawthorne finally addressed him directly. "You'll forgive my bluntness," he said, cutting into his steak, "but I don't believe in idle men." "I'm not idle," the groom replied calmly. "Then what exactly do you do?" Mrs. Hawthorne asked, smiling thinly. The groom set his fork down. "I solve problems," he said. Mr. Hawthorne laughed softly. "That's not an answer." "It is," the groom replied. "Just not one you can verify." Silence followed. The bride's brother smirked. "That sounds like something people say when they have nothing." The groom looked at him evenly. "Or when they have too much to explain." That earned a sharp look from Mr. Hawthorne. After dinner, the bride pulled him aside. "You're provoking them." "No," he said. "I'm letting them reveal themselves." She frowned. "You're acting like this is a game." "It isn't," he replied. "Games end. This is a test." "A test for what?" He met her gaze. "To see how far they'll go before they realize they picked the wrong target." That night, alone in their room, the bride opened her laptop and searched his name again. Still nothing. No scandals. No interviews. No past relationships. No social media. A man with no history. And for the first time since the wedding, she felt a flicker of fear, not of her family, but of the man she had married. Because people without footprints were usually running. Or hiding. And sometimes, they were waiting. Chapter 4: The First Attempt to Break Him. The Hawthornes didn't confront problems directly. They engineered outcomes. By Wednesday morning, the groom realized the house itself had turned against him. It started small. The driver assigned to him claimed there had been a scheduling error. The security gate delayed him for nearly 20 minutes before suddenly resetting. A staff member quietly removed his name from the household access list, then apologized profusely when he noticed. Coincidences if you believed in them. Mr. Hawthorne watched everything from a distance. He believed pressure revealed truth. Men either cracked or confessed when their comfort was removed. By afternoon, the groom received an email. His consulting license, temporary, limited, barely used, had been flagged for review. The issuer cited irregular sponsorship. Translation: someone powerful had made a call. The groom read the email once, closed it, and continued drinking his coffee. That reaction unsettled Mr. Hawthorne more than anger would have. By evening, the attack escalated. At dinner, Mr. Hawthorne made his move. I've arranged something for you, he said casually, as if discussing the weather. The groom looked up. Arranged what? A position, Mr. Hawthorne replied. Junior operations. One of my subsidiaries. The bride froze. Her father continued, it's important that you contribute. A man should earn his place. The groom understood immediately. This wasn't employment. It was humiliation. A public demotion designed to remind him he was small. I appreciate the offer, the groom said evenly, but I'll decline. The table went quiet. Mr. Hawthorne's smile didn't fade, but something behind his eyes did. You don't decline opportunities from this family, he said softly. I don't accept traps, the groom replied. Mrs. Hawthorne let out a light laugh. You're being dramatic. Am I? He asked, turning to her. Then tell me, would the position exist if I weren't married to your daughter? No one answered. The bride's brother leaned back. You should take it. Might learn how real businesses work. The groom looked at him. I already know how they fail. That earned him his first warning glance from security. Later that night, the bride confronted him. You're pushing them too hard, she whispered. They won't stop. I know, he said. Then why do it? He paused. Because I need them confident. Confident in what? That they're winning. The next morning, the second move came. His bank account, modest, untouched for years, was suddenly frozen pending verification. No explanation. No timeline. A message loud and clear. You survive here because we allow it. The groom stared at the notification, then smiled faintly. That afternoon, Mr. Hawthorne received a call. One of his overseas shipments had been delayed. Documentation error. Minor issue, but expensive. An hour later, a partner canceled a lunch without explanation. By evening, Hawthorne's assistant informed him that a regulatory inquiry had reopened, one that had been buried years ago. Mr. Hawthorne frowned. Coincidences, he told himself. But deep down, something began to itch. That night, the groom stood alone on the balcony, city lights stretching endlessly below. The bride joined him. They're tightening the cage, she said quietly. He didn't deny it. Then why do you look calm? She asked. He turned to her. Because cages only work, he said, when the person inside believes they're trapped. She stared at him. And for the first time, she wondered if this marriage wasn't a mistake, but a collision. Chapter 5. The humiliation was deliberate. The invitation was sent under Mr. Hawthorne's name. A charity gala. Black tie. Media present. Attendance was not optional. The groom understood immediately what it was meant to be. Public settings were where reputations were shaped and destroyed, quietly with smiles and applause. The bride sensed it too. They're going to parade you, she said as they prepared. They want witnesses. He adjusted his cufflinks calmly. Good. She looked at him sharply. Good? Yes, he replied. They won't be able to deny what they do. The Hawthorne estate buzzed that night. Politicians, CEOs, old money heirs who'd never touched cash without gloves. Laughter floated through the halls like perfume. And then there was him. The groom arrived beside his wife, dressed impeccably, but without the quiet arrogance the room was accustomed to respecting. People noticed. Whispers followed. That's him. The one she married. The mistake. Mr. Hawthorne wasted no time. Midway through the evening he took the stage. His voice was smooth, practiced. Years of controlling rooms had taught him where to pause, where to smile. We're gathered tonight, he said, to support opportunity, growth, lifting those with potential. Polite applause. And speaking of opportunity, he continued, turning slightly, I'd like to introduce a new addition to our extended family. The groom felt the room lean in. "My son-in-law," Hawthorne said, gesturing. "A man starting fresh. A reminder that anyone can be given a chance." The implication was unmistakable. Given, not earned. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Soft, controlled, cruel. Cameras flashed. The groom stepped forward. Not because he was invited. Because he chose to. "Thank you," he said into the microphone, his voice steady. "It's rare to be introduced as a charity case at your own wedding reception." The laughter died instantly. Mr. Hawthorne's smile tightened. "I'd like to clarify something," the groom continued. "I wasn't given a chance. I accepted an invitation." Murmurs spread. "And invitations," he added, "can always be declined." The groom handed the microphone back and walked off the stage. The bride followed, heart pounding. "You just made enemies?" she whispered. "No," he replied quietly. "I confirmed them." Behind them, Mr. Hawthorne stood frozen. He had intended embarrassment. Instead, he had been challenged. That night, the tabloids didn't headline the charity. They headlined the tension. Who is the poor groom who stood up to Hawthorne? By morning, the groom's name was trending, not for his background but for his composure. People love defiance, especially when it's clean. Mr. Hawthorne read the articles in silence. Then he made the call. "Enough," he said. "If he wants attention, give it to him." Plans were drawn. Records pulled. Stories seeded. If humiliation hadn't broken the groom, exposure would. The bride found her husband later that night, standing alone again watching the city. "You embarrassed him," she said softly. "No," he replied. "I reminded him." "Of what?" "That power doesn't come from stages," he said. "It comes from leverage." She hesitated. "And do you have leverage?" He finally turned to her. "I've had it," he said, "longer than your father realizes." Far below them, the city pulsed on. And somewhere inside Mr. Hawthorne's empire, something small, but critical, had begun to crack. Chapter 6. When they started digging. Mr. Hawthorne did not sleep that night. Not because of shame. Men like him were immune to embarrassment. What kept him awake was something else entirely. Uncertainty. The groom's response at the gala had been wrong, not in content but in timing, tone, and restraint. He had spoken like a man who knew the room would protect him afterward. That meant preparation. By morning, Hawthorne had activated his people. Private investigators. Background firms. Reputation scrubbers. "Pull everything," he instructed. Education.
Employment. Family. Debt. Criminal history. Every step he's ever taken.
The order went out quietly. No paper trail. No internal emails. This wasn't curiosity. It was containment. The first report came back clean. Too clean. No criminal record. No outstanding debt. No lawsuits. No scandals. The groom had worked modest jobs. Moved often. Paid in cash more than credit. Left no digital footprint that suggested ambition or desperation. "Is this everything?" Hawthorne asked coldly. "Yes, sir," the investigator replied. "He's ordinary." Hawthorne stared at the file. Ordinary men did not stand up on stages and humiliate billionaires without shaking. Ordinary men flinched. This one hadn't. At the estate, the atmosphere shifted. Invitations stopped arriving. Meetings were postponed. Family friends grew colder, polite but distant. The bride noticed first. "They're watching you," she said to her husband that evening. "Everyone. My cousins. My uncles. Even the staff." He nodded. "Good. It means they've run out of jokes." "You don't sound worried." "I'm not." She hesitated. "You should be." He turned to her then, his expression calm, but deliberate. People only investigate when they're afraid of what they don't know. 2 days later, the second report landed on Hawthorne's desk. This one was thinner. Which was worse. "We traced his employment history further back," the investigator explained. "Some records were inaccessible." Inaccessible how? "Sealed. Corporate non-disclosure. Old shell companies that dissolved before we could subpoena." Hawthorne's jaw tightened. Why would a poor man need sealed employment records? The investigator didn't answer. He didn't have to. That same night, the groom received a message. An unknown number. "They're digging." He deleted it without replying. The bride saw the screen light up. "Who was that?" "No one important," he said. She studied him. "You're lying." "Yes," he replied evenly. "But not to you." She folded her arms. Then started explaining. He was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke. Your father believes power comes from exposure, he said. That if you shine enough light on someone, they'll collapse. And he's wrong. She waited. There are people, he continued, who disappear not because they're weak, but because it's safer for everyone else. Her breath caught. Which one are you? He met her eyes. The kind your father should have left alone. By the end of the week, Hawthorne's investigation stalled completely. Every lead dead-ended. Every contact returned the same response. No records available. Worse, some firms stopped responding altogether. One longtime ally called Hawthorne privately. Off the record, the man said, lowering his voice, "You should stop." Hawthorne stiffened. Stop what? Whatever game you're playing with your son-in-law. Pause. You've never spoken to me like this, Hawthorne said. That's because I've never been warned like this, the man replied. The line went dead. Hawthorne stood alone in his office afterward, staring at the city. For the first time, the groom's words replayed in his mind. Power doesn't come from stages. It comes from leverage. Hawthorne didn't know what leverage the man had. But he was beginning to understand something far more dangerous. The groom wasn't hiding. He was waiting. And whatever past he had buried, it wasn't buried deep enough to be harmless. The Hawthornes believed they were applying pressure. What they didn't realize was that pressure only works when the person underneath doesn't control the weight. Every move they made, the investigation, the humiliation, the warnings, didn't weaken him, it measured them. Because somewhere between the wedding vows and the public insult, the balance shifted. And in part 2, power switched places, the groom stopped reacting, and the Hawthornes started watching their own shadows. Subscribe, like, and comment for the part 2.